Okay, battle for the saddle this weekend. Big rivalry game in the Big 12. Fort Worth, Texas. Texas Tech against TCU. But first, I want to tell you about a big special that we have at Wager Talk this week. This week only, no coupon necessary. It's up on every handicapper's page. Discounted 30-day all access going into November. It's the best time to try out an all access package. All the sports going on. I know for me, college basketball is back on Monday, November 4th. I've net up 50 units or so over the last 2 seasons. That's net gain profit over the last 2 years. And I plan on doing that again this year. So would love to have you join along with me. And with that all access special, you'll get my college football, 3 straight winning weeks, 5 this week, 4 straight 5% wins, NFL, and then, of course, college basketball. So a great time to check out that special over at wagertalk.com. I might end up on Texas Tech here. As always, if I do add one of these video plays to my client card, I will post it to my Twitter page. Same handle that you see there, at AdamTriggerWT. Same handle on all platforms. So keep an eye out for that. But I haven't added it yet, and I'll explain why. So first, I just want to start off with TCU and why I'm even, bothering with the Big 12 here. If you followed me throughout the football season, you know that I kind of focus my best bets in the ACC and the MAC. Those are the 2 conferences that I follow the closest, that are regionally sort of in, the area where I live, that I get the best info on. But every once in a while, I step outside for a best bet. And this is TCU's been the team that I've kind of done that with so far this year. I've played TCU now twice. Actually, I've played against TCU twice with client best bets. One of them a 5% max play. Both of them won. I cashed with UCF and SMU in games where, man, that TCU defense did not look very good. Second half against UCF did whatever they wanted. The entire game, SMU ran up and down the field, 66 points. Just a dreadful showing from TCU in those 2 games. And then, of course, right before the bye week, just an awful loss to Houston. Kind of what I heard out of TCU from the bye was positive. The bye week was really, very much needed. Kind of needed to get that team back on the same page. So I actually almost played on TCU last week. Didn't, but it would have been the right way to go. TCU ends up winning at Utah 13-7. But man, I have to, I look at Utah in that game, 7 points, just 267 yards of total offense. And then some of what Utah has done in the weeks leading up to that, without Cam Rising there under center. And I think that was really just Utah being very bad, very poor offensively. Then it was TCU having just improved. So I just think that matchup worked out well for them. It didn't expose their horrible defense, and TCU was able to escape with a win. That I don't think is going to be the case this week. Now, Texas Tech, I think, is a little bit, deceiving what happened last week as well. They give up 59 points at home to Baylor. That is a bad Baylor team. And that was just a game where a couple of special teams miscues, all of a sudden Texas Tech is way behind, and suddenly they're having to throw the ball, which is just not their game. That's not the game Texas Tech wants to play. They'd prefer to run it, establish the run. And I just felt like they were really out of sorts last week, fell behind, and then couldn't really recover. Now, the reason I didn't bet this earlier in the week is injury related. Texas Tech does have some injuries starting to pile up. And so now that this kind of got knocked off of 7, I'm going to just wait, because I'm not saying I wouldn't play Texas Tech, even if a couple of guys are ruled out, but I'd really love to have that 7. If Texas Tech ends up being healthier than they're projecting right now, as I do this video midweek, then I may be good to roll with 6.5. So at this point, that's really the reason I haven't played Texas Tech. It gets bet off of 7 down to 6.5. There are some reduced juice 6.5s out there right now. If I can get widely available, which means you guys can get it too, 7 minus 120, that's probably going to make my client card. So again, just keep an eye out on Twitter. I will post if I actually make that play. Josh Hoover for TCU has been very good. he's kind of like the one guy on TCU that I really do like. I think the pass offense for TCU, because of him, has been solid. They've really, been able to move the ball through the air. But the problem with TCU's offense is they really just don't run it at all. When they do try to run it, it's not super effective. And so they're really putting Hoover out there and just saying, like, we just need you to make plays. We need you to throw the ball downfield. And what's happened is either that happens or he turns the ball over. And that's been a huge issue for TCU this year. It's just back-breaking, game-changing turnovers. And a lot of that is, some of that, I guess, is bad luck. But I think a lot of that comes from the fact that they're almost always, kind of trying to take shots downfield, throwing the ball, having to force the ball in tight coverages. You end up paying for that sometime. I could see them paying for that at some point here in a game that, again, I go back to the number, it's 7. I don't think that these two teams are that far apart. And I'm certainly not going to give TCU a 7-point advantage for playing at home. Like, give them a little bit of an edge for playing at home, but not a full touchdown. And again, I have these teams, pretty close to even from a power rating standpoint. So, Texas Tech comes off of that game last week where they just get absolutely embarrassed. So you would have to think, from getting embarrassed, giving up 59 points to Baylor of all teams, and then having the rivalry game, the battle for the saddle, a game that they're going to get up for anyway, you would like to think that you're going to get a good effort from Texas Tech. And I think what a good effort from Texas Tech ends up being here is Texas Tech running the football, establishing that early. And if they're able to do that, I have a feeling Texas Tech probably wins this game, because I don't think TCU is going to be able to stop the run to the point where they can take full control of this game, which is what they would need to do, in my opinion, to cover a large number of 7. So I like the Texas Tech Red Raiders here. It is first and foremost a fade of a TCU team that I've been looking to play against all season. Like I said, already 2-0 playing against TCU this year. I cashed with UCF 5% winner and then a 4% winner with SMU. And again, I think it's just going to be another play against TCU in what I think is a good spot to do so. And I do like the Red Raiders a little bit, especially if they've got their full complement of players. I think they bounce back from that just very embarrassing loss to Baylor last week. So Texas Tech, right now, for the sake of the video, we'll call it 6.5. But I have not locked this in yet. I will be looking to do so at some point this week. So make sure you're following me on all platforms at AdamTriggerWT. And also, please like and subscribe to the Wager Talk YouTube channel so we can continue bringing you free college football videos all season long. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Cash all your tickets, and we'll see you next time.